Dr. John Ardalaska here, with some thoughts about the introduction to Bonnie Badenoch's book of Being a Brainwise Therapist. I absolutely love this book. There's something that I wrote at the end of it. I have my copy in my lap here. I wrote when I read this years ago when I was doing my doctorate, which was between '08 and 2012. It's a great time to be getting into the field because everything was happening. Alan Shore, Dan Siegel, Louis Cosolino were all bursting onto the field. Interpersonal neurobiology was becoming the newest, greatest, best thing, and I absolutely fell in love with it. This is what I wrote when I first read the introduction. I like this writer. Her enthusiasm flows out of her words. I will have to learn about the community within paradigm. That's something that she mentioned there that you probably noticed in your reading. I like the four principles: neural integration, right brain to right brain connection, therapist health, and empathic awareness. And there were some things that I got directly out of reading this introduction that you may have gotten as well, but you should seat diagonally to your client at about a 45-degree angle rather than right in their face, and at an appropriate social distance, which of course varies from culture to culture. When I was in China, I noticed that people tolerate a much closer social distance. In fact, when I was carrying my son, who we adopted in Shanghai, on my chest in a snuggly, which is very unusual. First of all, most Chinese don't have a lot of facial hair, and unusually I was one of the taller people in the crowds, which was kind of ego-building perhaps. And I would take video of the crowds and people reacting to me. I actually have video of some people's nose hairs. They were that close. Social distance is important. For most of us, you want to be probably about 5 feet away, face to face, at an angle. Speak into their left ear. You know that the sensory input from your senses flips over in the brain, and things that go in on the left side are processed on the right side. And Bonnie, of course, is talking about right brain to right brain interaction between the therapist and the client. Now, of course, some of the sound is going to go in the other ear anyway. However, it would be to your advantage to speak into the client's left ear. So angle at a 45 degree, speaking into their left ear. I noticed and one of the things I really like also is therapy starts at hello. The minute the client walks in the door, therapy starts right there. I've learned also from reading Beatrice Beebe and studying attachment. She analyzed attachment with a series of micro-analysis of video. She'd have a mother sitting on one side of a narrow table, baby sitting on the other in a car carrier. Camera aimed from behind the mother towards the baby, one from behind the baby towards the mother. And it would display a split screen, baby and mother simultaneously reacting. From her microanalysis of those video interactions, she was able to predict from 2.5 minutes of video at 4 minutes of age of mother-child interaction, she was able to predict the infant's level of security in the strange situation paradigm at 1 year of age. Nobody else has been able to do that. Now, through casual observation, you can't see the quick things that happen between a mother and a child that Beatrice Beebe was able to see with her microanalysis of these interactions. Split-second interactions. Boom, 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 boom. Contingent, non-contingent. Contingent simply means being on the same page. You see things like the momentary of the baby, but so fast that you might not even be able to observe it. You see the body leaning back or reaching in or going rigid. At any rate, what this taught me about therapy is that your rupture and repair does not go from 10 seconds to 10 seconds or minute to minute. It is constant. It's contingent, not contingent, contingent, not contingent, contingent, not contingent. How do you demonstrate contingency? Eye contact, facial expression, prosody of voice, leaning in, asking your client to explain what's going on inside of them to the best of their ability, then you reflecting that using your mirror neurons, which happens automatically. The process that's going on is called neuroception. That's a process that's a term Stephen Porges coined to give a name to the process whereby we decide whether we are safe in someone else's presence or not. So neuroception, mirror neurons going off, boom, 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 split second by split second. Your mirror neurons perceive what's happening in the other person's facial expression, their gestures, also their prosody of voice. Now this is a bit of an oversimplification, but the neurons are there saying, now, what would I be feeling if that were my face, my expression, and my gestures? And this is immediately translated inside your brain to an impression of what's going on inside the other. This process is called intersubjectivity. Okay, great term, very popular in psychoanalysis, but it's very appropriate for the kinds of things that you do with an eye towards interpersonal neurobiology, intersubjectivity. So therapy starts at hello. Rupture and repair does not go from minute to minute or from 10-second interval to 10-second interval. Rupture and repair is constant. It's split-second intervals. You're contingent. I like to do this for contingent, not contingent. Contingent, not contingent. And all of you have seen, I would assume, the still face paradigm from Tronic. If you have not seen the still face paradigm, please just Google it, still face paradigm, find the video and watch it to see the power of the contingency between an infant and a mother. And you know that the relationship between the infant and the caregiver is parallel to the relationship between the clinician and and his or her client. Okay, so Bonnie is fantastic, and she is one of the people who gave what would you say, gave wheels to the theory for me, gave specific techniques that I could utilize in dealing with clients that are based in interpersonal neurobiology. She does quite a bit of psychoeducation, as you know from the get-go on the first page of the introduction. I like to do psychoeducation as well. You have to be aware of how your client is receiving that information. I have one client who could probably give a class on attachment theory. She's been in therapy for 30 years of her life. She came to me for neurofeedback and hypnosis, biofeedback, and I was able to explain to her, and she was interested in hearing it, why she had the subjective life experience that she had now. And she was very, very grateful, and she's made great progress. She's told me, she said, no one in 30 years had explained to me why I feel the way that I do now. And it was very satisfying to hear her say that. So psychoeducation, according to how your client receives it, is a good component to utilize. Brain talk, as Bonnie Badenoch refers to it. So therapist self-awareness and the integration of clinical skills, these things have to be integrated into your personality. And Bonnie talks about how in the clinic that she was running at the time she wrote this book, the therapists there were beginning to live these principles. If I get cut, I bleed interpersonal neurobiology and some of the other therapies that I've learned as well. But these things need to be ingrained in your personality. And that's simply integration of clinical skills. This is what Bonnie's referring to. I think it's on page XXIV of the introduction, and it's down around the bottom of that long paragraph that starts out at the top. She suggests a couple of things that were, she had 4 principles that were, I mentioned in the little ditty that I wrote after reading the introduction. Neural integration, right brain to right brain connection, therapist health, that's integration of clinical skills, and empathic awareness. All of these things crucial to therapy and need to be integrated into your personality. She brings up a couple of things One is sand play and art, which are right brain activities that would integrate well with interpersonal neurobiology. And people can express things with their hands in a sand tray, with the characters that they choose off of the shelf, and with their narrative about what they have done, and with art as well. So keep in mind the integration of these two modalities, sand play and art, into therapy with your clients. I'm looking up at the clock. I have a client arriving in a few minutes. So I hope I haven't been speaking too fast for you. I apologize for not getting this information to you sooner. My life has become extremely complex. Clients are crawling out of the woodwork, and I'm absolutely overjoyed about that. But my workload has been increased tremendously, so I do apologize for not getting this to you sooner. I will get a video to you regarding chapters 1, 2, and the other reading that you have read as soon as I possibly can. I can't believe it's week 3 already. Please email me with any questions that you might have about what I've just mentioned here, and also any questions that you have regarding the textbook. I've heard from some of you already, and I'm very happy to get good reports on how you're interacting with this book by Badenoch. So take care, and I will be in touch shortly. Okay, bless you.